Okay, so we discussed some extra food supplementation or nutrition supplementation for the rotifers. Um, you know, when I stir it up, they have enough food in there technically, but the size of the TW1800 and also the fact that it's not alive means that they're probably not getting their full nutritional stuff. So I know that when people are being cheap with it, they feed rotifers yeast. So I'm not going to feed them yeast actively. Their main food source is still the TW1800 watered down, or the Thalassiosira flaguii. But I'm still going to give them maybe just like an infinitely small amount of yeast, honestly, just so little. The smallest amount I can manage with my fingers. Like, I'm thinking 7 flakes kind of thing. That's it. And then, it's a mess to work with, so I just took a small amount down. This will stay upstairs with the baking supplies, and this is now our yeast for feeding. I doubt this should be enough for a long time. Okay, it's time for me. First of all, there's not enough food dissolved in the water when I look at it, but at any time I stir up all the TW1800 in the bottom, it becomes yellow enough. So I'm hoping they're well fed enough, and I'm hoping this is not a rotting solution. I'm going to give it a smell. Yeah, to be honest with you, it smells pretty bad. But that's the TW1800. It always smells bad. But in the meantime, let's give them some supplemental nutrition in the form of yeast. So, like I said, I want to have the smallest amount possible. So the way I'm approaching this is like this. So, can you see that on the camera? You can't. Okay, but I basically got maybe a dozen flakes of yeast. Hardly anything. Probably not enough to make an impact at all, which is great. That's all I want to do. I'm aiming for 1% yeast as feed. And I don't think what I just put in is enough to be 1%, by the way. But also, there's no hurry here, right? We can always add more, but we can't take away. So let's add 1%. If it smells like bread at any point, I added too much. Okay, this handful is more than a dozen pieces. Okay, flaked some off. Okay, that's about a dozen. So a dozen flakes of yeast again. And we'll put that on. And that begins the beginning of our Rotifer supplemental nutrition program. Now, I do have bigger dreams about this, actually, because I'm thinking about it, and, the AI says that pretty much all bacteria are small enough for rotifers to eat. I just got to be careful not to introduce bacteria that will carry pathogens or that are pathogenic to rotifers. And so now, you start to think, okay, so what's a living saltwater bacteria that I can get access to? And then, there's lots, right? There's kimchi. There's basically any fermented vegetable in saltwater. And then it's okay, so then which of those are releasing chemicals into the water which limit the growth of other things like rotifers? And I think kimchi actually would be one of those things that would be problematic that way, especially some of those spices that are in kimchi. But it's got me thinking, maybe I can put a couple lentils in some salt in a saltwater bubbler and just let it cook for a while, and then when it starts to smell like there's something alive in there, that's a supplemental rotifer feed that hopefully is higher in protein. I know the thing that people are trying to get in their phytoplankton is higher levels of fats, different kinds of omega fats.
You know, but I'm not gonna ferment egg right now because I just don't want it stinking, right? But maybe you could ferment an egg white, or not ferment an egg white, but you know, dissolve some crushed egg white in a bubbler and use that as an omega source, as some sort of bacteria, whatever appears to colonize that bucket. And then, you know, after that becomes cloudy in whatever way, that's a supplemental feed source for your rotifers or whatever phytoplankton you're growing. Well, the other thing to consider here too is, so trace elements are a huge topic in saltwater aquarium management, that I'm not super deep into, but I am aware of trace elements more through gardening. So there is a trace element discussion that needs to be had, though I kind of think right now I should have more than enough trace elements just using fresh marine salt. But I might want to consider supplementing trace elements. And another supplement that might be interesting is different kinds of human vitamins, specifically the B vitamins again, and seeing if you could dose those directly into the rotifer. So I'm going to do a little reading, a little talking to AI about this, and we'll see how complex our Rotifer Nutrition program can get.